Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Nightwing and Red Hood 2-pack, which is just like gonna be hard for me to review because I have to review two figures at once. But we're gonna do it anyway. These are two popular characters. It should get some views. You guys might like to see this, so that's what we're gonna do. There's definitely some good stuff going on here. There's definitely some terrible stuff going on here. We're gonna talk about all of it. It's a review. That's what we do. So let's go ahead and get these guys off the stand so we can take a closer look. The way I'm going to work this is I'm just going to review each figure individually and try to go kind of quick so I can fit two in one video without making you guys waste too much time. Okay, so we're going to start with a height measurement and hope I don't forget the second figure, but they are about the same height. 7¼ inches, give or take, which makes him about 18½ centimeters. And before we get into it, question of the day, easy question. You have to pick, not from the figures, just generally speaking, Nightwing or Red Hood. Which one would you pick? For me, it's got to be Red Hood. I love Red Hood as far as a character goes. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the aesthetics on this guy. Solid black plastic, tiny bit of paint. Not enough paint. Mostly because it just needs some shading or something. It needs something to bring it to life. It just looks like a big chunk of black plastic. At least it's not glossy in most places, that's fine. But the red paint that's on there is okay. Being the only paint that's on there, I was hoping for a little bit of something to make it stand out, like maybe some metallic or something. Just a little bit, just something. But it just looks like red paint. The face looks pretty good. I know he's got the same face, or at least I'm pretty sure he has the same face as before. Painted well, there's some shading going on. The lips are clean, the face is clean, like the mask is clean, the eyes are good, the hair has some shading in it. It's alright. He does have a little bit of a squatty face, I guess. His eyes look kind of wide, but that's not too bad. It's not that noticeable. It looked way worse in the promo images, so that's okay. And then it really just comes down to the anatomy. He's got really skinny limbs and a really wide trunk, and it makes him look a little bit weird. Once you pose him, that'll probably go away for the most part, but he is very slender, and his muscles are kind of weird. Like his chest is like sunken in very heavily in the middle. And he's got very big pecs, but they're very flat and slopey, and it's just weird anatomically speaking. If you don't care about that kind of stuff, you probably won't even notice it, but it is strange. But it's okay. It looks good enough, so that's fine. Aesthetically speaking, I'll give it a 7. There's not anything terribly wrong with it. There's just nothing particularly good about it. As far as accessories go, you do have his two escrima, which snap onto his back. There's no paint on those either. You do get a little black display stand, and in this pack, you get a metallic trading card, like a foil card, which is just all mangled looking on the edges, and that's the way it came out of the package, so there's that. But if these cards all were metallic, like every figure had that, I think people might like them a little bit more because they look kind of cool. But to me, they're just a waste of money. So, accessory-wise, no alternate hands or anything, just the escrima, essentially. 3 out of 10. Don't care that much about a chunk of plastic for a display stand or a trading card. All right. Okay, let's talk about the articulation real quick on this guy. Head is on ball pegs. Leans forward and back, side to side. Neck is also on a ball peg. You're going to get enough posability for, like, adjustment posing, but he can't look up. He can't really look down. It's very limited. For the shoulders, we have the floating piece again, which gives him a little bit of extra range, but as usual, I don't think it's enough. It's not going to hurt anything, but it does break up the red line, and it doesn't really afford enough range to be worth being there. Plenty of range, though, in that joint, so that's okay. You have your full rotation. Your bicep swivel is good, but the bicep goes up so high on the shoulder that it can get in the way, or the body can get in the way and affect your swivel. Double jointed elbow should work. Let's see. Yes, that is fine. Wrists are on ball hinges, which will be just fine. Torso, very limited. Lower torso works pretty well. Upper torso, very limited. Mostly just for swivels. So that's not good. No excuse for that. I sculpted a body that's almost the exact same shape and everything, articulated it, and it works infinitely better than this. Check out my Rival Clans video if you haven't seen that. Totally doable, just didn't do it right here. Hips go pretty far out to the side, not all the way though, so that's not good. Going forward, not terrible, but pretty limited. Going back a little bit, that's fine. Tiny bit of thigh swivel, not too much there, just a little bit. Double jointed knees do work nicely, though it's a really long knee joint. Really long knee joint. And then for the ankles, they're humongous. How come, what the, how, why? Why? Okay, whoa, I'm knocking everything over. All right, so look how big that ankle joint is. You see that? How skinny his legs are? Big old ankle joint. Look at this guy. Big old boots, smaller ankle joint. How? How do you do that? How do you do that? Trimmed out around the ball hinge. Flat cut. I don't understand. These are the kind of decisions that just don't make sense. So you'll get plenty of range out of his ankles because the joints are humongous and he's got skinny little ankles, so that's okay, I guess. But the ratchets are still too heavy. Like, you go like 20 degrees maybe per joint or per ratchet. It's kind of a lot, so it's going to be very difficult to pose him. Toe joint is far enough forward on the foot, but it is very loose and probably useless. So his articulation is only going to get a 6 out of 10. Torso sucks. Other things are limited, like the neck, hips, ankles are functional, but just not that good. Okay, so final verdict for this guy. We're going to save it for a 2-pack. I'm just going through the details for now. All right, let's talk about this guy's aesthetic. But first, I have to do a height measurement because I didn't forget. This guy stands about 18 centimeters, which puts him at pretty close to, 7¼ inches. And this is easily the best looking Red Hood figure to date as far as an action figure of a comic variety for Red Hood. The head, I would say, is just about perfect. If I was going to sell one, which I was at one point, and then they announced this, and I was like, well, that's not happening now. It would look like this. This is a really good Red Hood sculpt. Very nice, and they nailed it with the red paint and the black line work and the eyes and everything. Super clean. Very, very good. I think they did a really good job with the bat logo on the chest. That's nice. I love that the chest is actually shaped properly on this guy. Jacket's well sculpted. That's all good. Really, the only standout problem is he's very skinny. Very, very skinny. If you look at the card that they give you, can I try to show you that? I can try. Look how chunky he is. Like, he's not supposed to be that skinny. He's bulky, especially with all the armor. He's wearing armor right here, and he's still skinny, so he's like beanpole skinny under his clothes. So that's not good. Also, very long lower legs again, and kind of yellow skin tones. Overall, it still looks really, really good, so I'm okay with that, but those are definitely some issues. I'll give it, not counting the head, a 7 out of 10, but the head is so good, I'll bump it to an 8. You get a bonus point for that. Plus, the body armor is really nicely done, so I'll give him a point. Okay, now, for his accessories, we do have his 2 pistols, which are very hard to get into his hands. I haven't had any luck doing that without heat yet. We'll see if I can by the time the photos get taken, but so far he cannot hold them very effectively without heat first. And then we do get his little black display stand and the trading card, which is kind of cool looking. So accessories for him, no alternate hands again, and difficult to hold accessories, so 4 out of 10. I don't know whatever I said for Nightwing, he gets the same rating. That's just, why no alternate hands? You should have alternate hands. They already exist, or at least you could sculpt them. Whatever, make them. Just do it. Just do it. Because if you don't want him to, I'm not going to get into it. He needs alternate hands. They don't have enough accessories. Okay, on to the articulation. Can his really nice head sculpt look down? It can. Can it look up? Yeah, just barely. Side to side will be no issue. Leaning, and it leans a little high on the neck, but it can be done. It'll be good enough. You'll be able to pose the head well enough. Could definitely be better. Shoulders do have the floating piece in there. His arms pop off really easily for me. We'll see if it happens in the video. So you have that ball peg that moves in there, then you get the ball hinge, which works nicely, so that's good. No issues so far. Full rotation other than where the jacket gets in the way, so that's fine. You do get a nice bicep swivel at the cuff, which is pretty cool. Double jointed elbow works just fine. No problems there. Wrists do have ball hinges in there, I think. It feels like it, but it's very hard to manipulate them because that's a terrible way to do a ball hinge, fully recessed like that. If it's just a regular hinge, which it might be, and that's what it should be. I think it's a ball hinge though, but it should just have a hinged peg. Just a single hinge going this way or this way. And his are this way, which is the wrong way, so that sucks. Diaphragm joint, one of the better ones we've seen, still fairly limited, but it works well enough. And his lower torso joint is one of the worst ones we've seen. Very limited, so you're not going to be posing this guy super dynamically. You're going to really struggle and get a decent enough pose, but that's about it. Now for these things, the plastic is incredibly hard. Take a look at this. Almost the same design, right? These guys are nice and soft. Like, I don't even have to try to move them, and they just flex out of the way. These guys, even when I push real hard, they don't really want to move. Very not a good design. That's definitely how you should word that. So those are way too tight, and this one's stuck up from being in the package. So let's see how the hips work. Going forward, it's not terrible, but it is pretty limited still. And then going back, you get a little bit. Going out to the side, you can get it there, but they're fairly soft, like he's flopping. And these guys are fighting me the whole way. Is there a thigh swivel? Just a tiny bit. Double jointed knees work pretty well, no problems there. And then for the ankles, it's not the best we've seen, it's not the worst we've seen. It's kind of like right in the middle for this guy with the semi-shaped ankles and a slightly bigger hinge, but it'll be good enough, not counting the way heavy ratcheting. It'll be okay. Toe hinge is terrible, way too far back, way too floppy. So his articulation's gonna get 7 out of 10. They just won't do good articulation apparently. So that's not good. Okay, time for the final verdict for this 2-pack. Packing in a Robin with Red Hood to generate some more revenue. Good move for them, but I don't know if it's a good move for the consumer. So that's kind of a problem, but at least Red Hood's good enough, Robin's good enough. Lots of problems as usual, but some things that are really... I'm going to go 7 out of 10. I know people are going to be like, it's Red Hood, it should be 1,000,000 out of 10, but no, it's not. There's too many problems. And Nightwing is one of the more average to uninteresting to who cares type of figures that they've released. So packing them in as a must-have sort of thing is not as cool as it could be. Just not cool. I would have liked to see like a Nightwing, or I mean a Red Hood and Batman 2-pack. Or Red Hood and somebody other than Solid Black Plastic Man. So yeah, it's okay as a 2-pack, but I'm going to stick with 7 out of 10. Let me know how you guys feel about it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.